In 1913, Carl Jung, the most prominent psychiatrist in Europe, the hand-picked heir to Sigmund Freud, a man with a thriving practice and an international reputation, sat down at his desk and deliberately induced a psychotic episode. He called it a confrontation with the unconscious. His family called it a breakdown. The truth is probably more interesting than either. What followed was 16 years of nightly descents into visions, hallucinations, and conversations with figures who may or may not have existed, documented in obsessive, illuminating detail in a book he showed almost no one, published for no one, and ultimately locked in a Swiss bank vault for decades after his death. That book is called the Liber Novus. The world knows it as the Red Book. And when it finally surfaced in 2009, nearly 100 years after Jung began it, it didn't just reframe one man's biography. It reframed the entire foundation of analytical psychology. Everything Jung ever published, the archetypes, the collective unconscious, the process of individuation, all of it came from this book, from the visions he refused to let anyone see. The question is why? To understand what Jung was doing, let's take a look at what he was walking away from. By 1912, Jung was Freud's most celebrated student. Freud had publicly designated him the crown prince of psychoanalysis, the man who would carry the movement forward. They exchanged hundreds of letters. They traveled together. Freud called him his son and heir. Then Jung published Transformations and Symbols of the Libido. In it, Jung quietly but unmistakably broke with Freud's central thesis. Where Freud insisted that the libido was fundamentally sexual energy, Jung argued it was something broader, a generalized psychic energy, mythological in structure, universal in expression. The letters stopped almost immediately. The rupture was total, personal, and brutal, and Jung, by his own account, fell apart. He began having waking visions, flooding imagery, figures that spoke to him. In October 1913, sitting in a train by himself, he saw a vision of a monstrous flood covering Europe, filled with debris and thousands of drowning bodies. The waters turned to blood. He saw it twice more. He feared he was developing psychosis. 2 months later, World War I began. Jung would later say he understood then that what he had seen wasn't madness. It was something else, an eruption from what he would come to call the collective unconscious. Images not from his personal history, but from something older, deeper, and shared. He decided to go in. Starting in December 1913, Jung began what he would call his experiments. Every evening, he would deliberately allow himself to sink into a hypnagogic state, the threshold between waking and sleep, and follow whatever images arose. And he didn't just observe them, he engaged with them.